The Israel Defense Forces have conducted approximately 400 strikes targeting key military installations and infrastructure across Syria. These operations have included strikes on airfields, military vehicles, anti-aircraft weapons systems, and arms production facilities, some of which are suspected of being involved in the development of chemical weapons. The strikes have primarily focused on strategic locations such as Damascus, Homs, Tartus, and Palmyra. One of the most critical targets was the Soviet-era missile boats docked at the naval port of Latakia. The IDF viewed these vessels as a significant potential threat to Israeli security, given their proximity to Israel's coastline. More details all in the video ahead. Let's take a look at why Israel is attacking Syria, starting with Scenario 1. These strikes are part of a broader campaign, with the Israeli military reporting that it has carried out more than 400 airstrikes against military assets belonging to the Bashar al-Assad regime. These operations have targeted locations in Damascus, Homs, Tartus, Latakia, and Palmyra. The strikes are reportedly aimed at neutralizing threats and preventing the transfer of advanced weaponry to hostile groups. Israel asserts sovereignty over certain territories it captured during the 1967 Six-Day War, including the Golan Heights. However, its claim is widely disputed by Arab nations and the broader international community, which generally regard these areas as occupied territories under international law. One of the key elements of Israel's strategy in the region involves the establishment and maintenance of a buffer zone, formerly known as the Area of Separation. This demilitarized zone was established as part of the 1974 ceasefire agreement between Israel and Syria, following the Yom Kippur War. The buffer zone serves to physically separate Israeli and Syrian forces, reducing the risk of direct military confrontation. In recent years, the dynamics around the buffer zone have evolved. As Syrian government forces have withdrawn from areas adjacent to the buffer zone, extremist rebel groups have become more active. Israel views these groups as a significant threat and has taken measures to prevent attacks originating from their positions. The creation and enforcement of the buffer zone are thus critical to Israel's broader security strategy in the region. This strategy aims not only to counter the immediate threats posed by extremist groups, but also to limit the influence of Iran and Hezbollah, which are closely allied with the Assad regime. In Scenario 2, Israeli planes carried out airstrikes targeting multiple major Syrian military airbases, significantly damaging critical infrastructure. The strikes focused on airbases housing dozens of advanced aircraft, including MiG-29 and Sukhoi Su-22 jets. The targeted facilities include Kamishli Air Base in northeastern Syria, Shinshar Base in the countryside of Homs, and Akraba Airport southwest of Damascus. These airstrikes were strategically aimed at neutralizing threats posed by the Sukhoi Su-22 aircraft, which are classified as fighter bombers. These planes pose a significant danger to Israel's F-16 fighters and the security of the Golan Heights, where they could potentially counteract any advancements by the Israel Defense Forces. Additionally, the Israeli Air Force struck helicopter bases that house attack rotor crafts, such as the Mi-24 and Mi-28 Havoc. These helicopters play a critical role in providing close air support for Syrian ground troops, using their formidable firepower to suppress enemy forces and bolster efforts against rebel advances. In Scenario 3, the Israel Defense Forces targeted sea-to-land missiles from their Navy ships and launched a precise strike on the ports of Al-Baida and Latakia. These ports are one of Bashar al-Assad's Syrian Navy that can still be highly effective if used against Israel. At the time of the attack, 15 vessels were docked at the ports. The assault caused widespread devastation, completely destroying or severely damaging all these ships. It is believed that the majority of the targeted vessels were Osa-class missile boats, known for their fast speed and heavy armament. These vessels, once considered a formidable naval asset, now lie in ruins, preventing the rebels from using them against Israel. The reason behind the Israeli action is likely rooted in their desire to neutralize these ships, given the strategic implications. As seen on the map, this coastline is within proximity to Syrian-held territories, and just to the south lies Israel. Despite being from the Soviet era, these missile boats remain a potent threat, capable of inflicting significant damage on Israeli naval assets. In a hypothetical scenario, these vessels could depart from the Latakia naval port and reach the Israeli coastline within a few hours, potentially evading detection and launching a surprise attack on the IDF Navy or its naval ports. To mitigate this risk and eliminate the possibility of such an attack, it appears that the IDF took preemptive action. This is the P-21 anti-ship missile, equipped with a solid booster and powered by liquid fuel. The IDF Navy believes that this Soviet-era missile could pose a significant threat to its fleet. When launched, the first stage booster fires off for 2 to 3 seconds, after which the second stage takes off. This missile searches its target by locking into the radio signal in the ship. It uses an analog technology that is still highly effective, and if hit at the right angle, it can damage or sink it. As an engineering channel, we can't help but dive into the interior of how this Soviet-era anti-ship missile works, so let's take a look. Positioned at the forefront is the DS antenna device, a straightforward analog design equipped with a homing conical scanning radar sensor. Sitting just behind the antenna is the warhead, boasting a weight of approximately 1,000 pounds, equivalent to 454 kilograms. This warhead takes the form of a hollow-shaped charge. Let's take a look inside the warhead. There exists an air-filled cavity and a conical liner. Notably, the explosive is intentionally inverted, and this configuration is meticulously crafted to generate a high-velocity jet of heat. The primary purpose of this formidable jet is to pierce or obliterate armored steel ships. This design is to create a devastating impact, making it a potent weapon for naval warfare. Moving further to the back is the oxygen tank required for the liquid fuel propellant, positioned just behind it. But wait, that's not all. They even have a booster required just for the initial launch located outside the missile. This is how it works. At the top of the rocket is the ignition tube, initiating the combustion of a precise mixture of fuel and oxidizer in a motor case. The motor case acts as a robust pressure vessel, containing the intense forces within the combustion chamber. The propellant burning zone of the core of the rocket is where the reaction occurs. As the solid fuel and oxidizer react and burn within this zone, they generate extremely high-temperature combustion gases. The nozzle is designed to accelerate the flow of gases and direct them out of the rocket's rear end. But don't be fooled by this low-budget Soviet-era tech. They even have an analog software device and control unit. All these components work hand-in-hand with the radar unit in the front, directing the steering gear that controls surfaces and fins towards the designated target. Let's take a look at the Syrian army military equipment that were left behind for the rebels to take over. The Syrian forces rely heavily on a combination of tanks, armored vehicles, artillery, and air power to maintain dominance on the battlefield. The Syrian army deploys T-72 and T-90 tanks, which offer advanced targeting systems and protective armor. Alongside these, older models such as the T-55 and T-62 continue to play a role, particularly in secondary operations. Infantry fighting vehicles like the BMP-1 and BMP-2 are staples in mechanized units, providing mobility and firepower. While armored personnel carriers, including the BTR-60 and BTR-80, ensure troop movement and logistical support across Syria's rugged terrain. Artillery is a key component of the Syrian military strategy, with the widespread use of howitzers, such as the D-30 and self-propelled systems like the 2S-1 Gvozdika. These are supplemented by powerful rocket artillery systems, including the BM-21 Grad and the BM-30 Smerch, capable of delivering devastating salvos over large areas. Russian support has further enhanced these capabilities, like the advanced caliber precision-guided munitions and electronic warfare systems. In the skies, the Syrian Air Force, supported by Russian pilots and aircraft, fields an array of jets and helicopters. MiG-29 fighters and Su-22 strike aircraft are frequently used in airstrikes, while Su-24 bombers deliver precision strikes on fortified rebel positions. As an engineering channel, we also made the secrets behind this stealth bomber, so check this out and do subscribe to not miss a beat.